Isn't it just like the Cowboys? Jesse Jackson here. After the Cowboys had played Titans, and what an embarrassing loss it was, your host of How Many, the only podcast that counts, got together and we had a therapy session. We shared our frustration. Let's call it a Cowboy rant. And we did this the Thursday after the game. Then, of course, on Sunday, Dallas goes up to Philadelphia and beats the Super Bowl champions at their own stadium. And now then everyone's all excited about the Cowboys. And our Cowboy rant is a victim of poor timing. But knowing the Cowboys, they are going to disappoint us again. So in that spirit, here is the How Many host sharing the pain of being a Cowboy fan.
How many, how many, how many, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, what did I get up to?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of How Many, the only podcast that counts. I am one of your hosts, Jesse Jackson, and joining me today, we have...
I'm Scott.
Scott, welcome back
Yes,
from
Scott.
his suspension.
Yes.
We unfortunately had to suspend Scott last month. He said some very derogatory things during our last recording session, so the SEC had to put some sanctions on us. But he's now back.
See, I thought he just had a bad case of diarrhea.
I thought it was a gender reassignment.
It was all substance, man. It was all substance.
So Scott is here. Junior is here. And
Bob?
more energy, Bob. We
Yes.
need more energy.
It was
High energy, Bob.
High energy,
He's
Bob.
just depressed that
F
we're not
yeah.
going to do Anderson.
Yeah, you want to do
something.
another Anderson versus Anderson?
No, I have a good topic for later tonight that's solid, but we'll wait until then.
But
I need
today-
FM radio, Bob.
Yeah, today we are going to do a quick episode. Shorter episodes, the more downloads we get. What does that say about us?
We have some
That's us.
frustration that has been building up all season that we need to get out in podcast form. So, Jesse, what are you upset about? What's grinding your gears right now?
So, as we record this, it is Thursday, November 8th. The Cowboys have, this past Monday night, laid a massive egg again on national TV.
television.
Junior and I were at that game.
We were at the game.
That's right.
So they decided to ruin my birthday. My birthday was Monday.
Yeah.
So we splurged. We bought tickets.
I gave you 2 birthday greetings.
He's 43, by the way.
Yes, they were both out there.
November
I'm glad
5th,
somebody gave me a
1975.
birthday shout out yesterday. Unlike some people.
Did you buy him a Coke or anything at the game?
I bought him lunch, and then today I bought him lunch again.
Oh, okay.
No, there was no such.
There is no such
he,
thing
owed,
as
he,
such?
he still owed me from the laptop payments that he was just trying to make good.
Stupid bit.
So, we all four are Cowboy fans.
Yep.
We have...
Although Bob used to have an allegiance to the Oilers, did you not?
I want the 80s were Oilers time for me. 80s, early 90s.
because you lived...
Yeah, I grew up halfway between Dallas and Houston, and all my relatives lived in Galveston. So growing up, I was big on Houston teams. But I liked the Cowboys when Staubach was there. But when Staubach's era ended right around the time Earl Campbell came into context. So.
And then you're a big Warren Moon guy.
Yeah, I liked Warren Moon
like
too.
the run and shoot version of the Oilers.
But the Buffalo game after that, I cut all ties forever with the Oilers.
It took you that long, even after Jimmy had already taken over the team.
Man.
The Aikman, Irvin Smith era had already started. The triplets had
Because it was right around the time I moved up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up in all over the country. My dad was in the Army, moved around a lot, and my parents are not sports fans. So there was no allegiance whatsoever. In fact, the only time the NFL was on a TV is if someone was visiting my mom and dad. And so there was no allegiance whatsoever.
Not even the Saints, Lake Charles,
yeah,
and all
and so
that?
when I moved to Lake Charles, my dad retired and we settled in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Just not really. My first roommate, a guy named David Fair, was a huge Saints fan, and so because of him, I would watch with him.
Is this the Archie Manning days?
Yes, and this is one of my favorite stories. He finally got a chance. Lake Charles is about 4 hours away from New Orleans. He got a ticket to go see the Saints live for the first time ever. And when he came back, I watched it live. They were winning, and they let it all go away. And I saw it live. It's even more painful live.
So was this back in the days of the Aints where they were
Yes.
putting on the bags? over
The
their
bags
heads?
of
I mean, they had a couple good years, like in the late 70s, early 70s, or mid.
Yeah.
There was a couple years where they were like 7-9,
Yeah.
and Manning they were close, but
Yeah. And then, so when I moved to Dallas, it was in '86, and I made the joke, well, hey, now that I'm from Dallas, I could cheer for Dallas, a good team. And
that was
it
bad
became
timing
my-
if it was 86.
Exactly.
Right?
But
it takes time.
to tell you how much of a fan I've been, in '89, Landry's last year, right? 88, '89, Landry's last year. They were 3-13, and everyone, you knew they were doing nothing, and most fans were cheering for, a high draft pick. And I had a guy I worked with.
Which this year we
Yeah.
oh, never mind.
No, we can't
Yes.
do that, right?
Yeah. And Patrick was a guy I worked with, and every Monday I'd come in going, they did it to us again. Like, they start playing well, and I'm like, to hell with the draft pick. I want to win. And then they end up losing again.
Which has pretty much been, for I would say the last 3 or 4 years, kind of how we felt, where they're teasing us
Right.
with a possible run to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll have like a 13
outside of the
year.
anomaly years of the 2016, 2014, all the stuff around that and in between, 7-9, 8-8. Sometimes they get bad and be 6-10.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they tease us. They give us a bad start, a couple of good games. Oh, the hope is starting to arise. Tank again.
Kind of like that Jacksonville game. Everybody got all excited. Ooh, they blew out Jacksonville, and they've got a good defense. They're back. They're in.
Well, go ahead, Scott.
I can honestly say, even when they blew out Jacksonville, I sat there and I looked at it and just went, the shoe hasn't dropped. This isn't a good
Now,
team. It's not.
If we were to check the tape, me and Matula were on the same wavelength of how poorly this season was
you
going
guys
to
were,
go.
and Bob and I were more optimistic.
As you guys usually are, especially Bob. He will start as soon as there is any glimmer of hope. Oh man, this is Super Bowl here. Oh man, that's the real deal.
So my official prognostication, it's easy to choose the negative in this, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going with 10-6, out the first playoff game.
So my bold prediction for the 2018-2019 Cowboys season, 8-8.
Terrible.
And that is with everything breaking right. And Travis Frederick not dying of his unknown disease.
You could put a Pop Warner offense out there with that defense, and they're not going 8-8. Though at least worst case scenario is 9-7.
Whoa.
Last year was worst case scenario, and they went 9-7. I mean, come on, dude. I'm gonna say 11-5, and that I'm kind of lowballing myself.
Does that win the division?
I think they're probably gonna be tied with Philly at 11-5.
So you think Philly will go 11-5?
Yeah, I do, but because I think Wentz is coming back sooner than people think. 11-5. I'll say they win the tiebreaker, win the division, and make the playoffs.
Super Bowl?
No. But I'll say this: NFC Championship game.
Whoa! I believe they're going to go 8-8. They're not going to make the playoffs, and this will be Garrett's last season.
So you think 8-8 would get Garrett fired?
8-8 is going to get Garrett fired.
I think they're going to go 10 and 6, but they're going to squeak into the playoffs. And then they're going to catch lightning in a bottle. The team will go win and get all the way to the NFC Championship game. And then they will break our hearts, losing, and it will be this close.
Well, and what was funny is a couple weeks ago, the game before the bye week, Chris had Poochie, my son,
who's one of the more intense,
yes, incredibly
Cowboy
Cowboy fan. So he had a friend named Robert who came in from the Greer, South Carolina RP office, and he's a huge Cowboy fan. So there's 3 or 4 of us there, all watching, and like the middle of the second quarter, Robert looked over to me and said, "We're going to lose. I've seen this movie too many times." He said, "The only good thing is Monday morning, because I'm in Dallas, I'm going to walk in and there will be other people unhappy versus at Greer, no one is unhappy with me."
Yeah, nobody will.
So, go ahead.
No, I got a long rant.
So I watched the game Sunday night, or Monday night, and I just said, there is no hope. And I don't know what it is. I mean, Aikman talked about Jerry being consistent, but that can't change. But, our coaching staff does not seem to know how to coach. Our quarterback can't seem to throw the ball. Our running back has, 87 people hitting him the moment he hits. The offensive line now sucks. There is no bright spot. We've traded away our first-round draft pick.
That's the worst part.
That really hurts.
The fact that in most cases, if you have a bad team, the one thing you can look forward to is, okay, if we just at least lose out the season, we have a top 5 to 10 pick to look forward to. And in most cases, if a team tanks that badly, there will be changes on the horizon. There will be a coaching change, a philosophy change, personnel changes. I will be the first to tell you, as much as I loved Dak in 2016, I am so through with him now. And if they were to tank as badly as we think they will, they have to make a move. There is no way they could re-sign him to an extension after he led the team to, I don't know, let's hypothetically 5-11, 6-10.
Yeah, but Jerry's already promising an extension, guaranteed.
Yeah, but Jerry talks out of his butt.
Certainly.
But we all love that story.
Say that.
A middle of the round draft pick. This guy whose mother died of colon cancer. The scene where he threw a cup on the ground and he picked it up, put it in the trash can. I mean, all those games without an interception were like,
heck of a leader.
Yeah,
really
this guy
commands the locker room
and everything. And then
that can only take you so far,
right?
You can't throw. Not enough throwing the ball through the tire in the backyard, obviously.
Image only goes so far.
You guys know, Garrett is a huge Springsteen fan, which immediately, on the if we're just handicapped,
built-in cred.
Yeah, handicap. Like, okay, you can lose up to 3 games already, and I'm not going to turn on you just right away. If the best you can do is 10-6, that's okay because but the clapping.
I was going to say, does he do the same thing at the front row of a Springsteen concert that he does on the sideline?
Just sits there. I'm sure he was clapping up a storm at the World Series too during the bye week. That to me, that's one of the worst parts of him as a coach. The optics, just the look of, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to clap and make it look like I'm pumping this team up, knowing full well that the team is not prepared to win the game. And you never come out of a Cowboy game thinking, man, Jason Garrett really out-coached the other coach on the sideline.
And I don't understand that. I mean, if I was going to point to anybody on that sideline that I think that's a football guy, just on his history, it would be Garrett. But he doesn't seem to be able to see the things that we sit here and scream at the TV going, no. We're no Danny knowing the guy. And he just makes the same stupid decisions over and over
and
again.
he was a guy that played under Jimmy, so
Right.
you would think he picked something up, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy is one of the greatest coaches in Cowboys history. Could be argued a fringe Hall of Famer if they didn't have that failed stint in Miami, right?
Right.
But you would think, okay, this guy at least was coached by one of the best. Pick something up.
Pick it up by osmosis.
And he seems like he's more worried about and concerned about maintaining that emotional facade. Like after the game at that press conference the other night, and he's like, "Well, I thought we did some great things in all three phases."
We don't want to hear that.
No, and you're lying. You're being disingenuous when you say that. You do not really believe that.
Well, I thought we did some good things in this game, really in all three phases of our team, but certainly not good enough. And we had some early opportunities that we didn't cash in on.
One of management's great tenets is you praise in public, criticize in private.
Right.
So if as a manager of a team, we've all been there. You pull someone aside and, hey, you're not doing very well. You don't call everyone out in the middle of the music store or the implementation floor or the training room. But this isn't a business. This is a football team. And
no, you have a fan base that you need to appease. You're not going to make the ticket buyers happy by telling them, "Oh, I thought we did some good things." I mean, I know we got blown out at home on a national stage, and everybody wasted their money to go, including me and Bob. We still did some good stuff. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear we did some good stuff.
The team should have been 17-0.
Yeah,
with the defense, and the defense like, F it.
Well, they started to get tired too.
Yeah, because they're on all the time.
And they're as much hopelessness as we feel. That defense must have that same mentality at this point, where they know no matter how well we play, unless we shut the other team out, we're not going to score enough points to win this game. And it becomes such a attitude that permeates from game to game. At some point in the season, the defense is going to say, "You know what? F this. I'm going to make my film roll look good for the next team that picks me up."
I'm working on personal stats now.
Yeah.
To hell with the game.
So, I'm going to get this wrong, but back in the 60s, one of the Dodger pitchers was known. The Dodgers gave him no run support, and supposedly, and the joke was, and we'll just say Sandy or Don Drysdale. Hey, Don Drysdale pitched a no-hitter. Oh, really? Did they win? Right now, I want to tell friends, nothing would make me happier. And I know you disagree. If they went on a 7-1 or 8-0 streak and finish strong, I will be happy. I'll be screaming.
You shouldn't be.
Yes,
you should not. You should not root for that at this point.
But it is not me getting back on the bandwagon. We talked about this before we hit record. I am on the bandwagon. I have my season pass, on the bandwagon to be a Cowboy fan. But that doesn't mean I can't expect my team to play better.
It takes nuclear meltdowns in that Cowboys front office to change things.
Yeah.
We saw it with Wade in 2009, 2010, whenever his team quit on him. It takes a team quitting on the coach.
And it was Jerry getting embarrassed. It was on national TV, prime time, getting blown out against the Packers. That was the last straw for him. It was embarrassing. So unless he feels like it's gotten that embarrassing.
Now, there is another national game coming up. Thanksgiving is right around the corner.
Well, not just that, but the Eagles game is Sunday night.
Yeah, if they were to get blown out again on these national stages, that has to force his hand.
What was it he said the other night that they could read his lips?
He said, I've had enough.
I've had enough.
And he may be saying that in the heat of the moment anger, because after the game, he'll always say, "Oh, Dak's doing great. He's going to get extended. There's not going to be any coaching changes this season." All could be lip service. He could be in the background saying, hey, if you don't win these next 2 games, you're out of here. Who knows with Jerry? But I have to think that a few more national embarrassments will force his hand.
I think I don't think no matter what Garrett gets fired during the season, but I think Linehan's the trump card. I think they're keeping Linehan to when it gets to the point that they have to do something quote unquote drastic. They can fire Linehan and say, okay, we did change,
something big,
and then that way Garrett gets the whole rest of the season. But I am finally starting to think that Garrett's gone after this year. If I mean,
you mean when? There is no if.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, if they finish 8-8, Jerry might, and they end up going like what they'd go 5-3 in the second half, like they went 3-5 in the first half,
which is not going to happen.
Right, it's not because the schedule's so hard. But if they did, Jerry could convince himself that we're on the upward trajectory and we're going in the right direction for next season and all that crap.
I want to see him in that press box take that whiskey glass and just tank that son of a gun against the wall, and just start cussing up a storm. That little
he knows the camera's on him. That's why he kind of
because
pulled back.
I really wanted to see that. I saw that hand raise, and I was ready to see him slam it down on that thing, and he backed off of it. And just, Jerry, get mad.
So, friend of the podcast and good friend of ours, Gary just swears it's Linehan. Linehan. He has never been a fan of Scott Linehan, right? But I think it's got to be Garrett, too, right?
Yeah.
Well, and he hates Garrett, too. It's just... Yeah. Short term, immediate term, Linehan's been a problem for a long time. You've got... that's one of the issues with Dez. They could never get Dez up and running with Dak. And then Zeke, he calls really stupid plays all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just the predictability of it. Linehan is the biggest target because you can see what play they're running before they even run it, just based on the formation, based on who's out on the field at that time.
They make no adjustments.
And if you see 2 tight ends on the field, it's going to be a run no matter what.
It's like last year, that Atlanta game where Dak got sacked a million times, and that Chaz Green kept getting burned on that one side, and they never changed. They never moved him, and never didn't bring in a replacement until like the third or fourth quarter. It's like you should be able to make a change quicker than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So Linehan is the biggest target, but Garrett is the next biggest target because he doesn't get his teams ready to play. Mm-hmm. There is no work that's done ahead of time to prepare them for the game.
And in game too, the challenges are stupid. He loses almost every challenge.
I know.
There is no halftime adjustments. If anything, the other team is always making the halftime adjustments if they're struggling and end up winning the second half the majority of the time. I think a lot of Garrett's shortcomings were kind of covered up by Romo during his time here. I think Romo spent the majority of his time getting the offense prepared, getting the audibles prepared, basically calling the plays from the line of scrimmage, and I think that covered up a lot of issues with Linehan and with Garrett. Now that there's a young quarterback there that doesn't necessarily have full control of the playbook, full control of the offense, we're seeing just how bad the play calling really can be when you leave it in this coaching staff.
And the longer he's gone, the more people start to appreciate Romo.
I did.
There's so many people bashed him while he was here, and it's like, man, you just didn't know what you had.
I did not want to see him go. Even hurt, I thought, no, that guy has got such a command of what is going on the field. He knows what everybody's going to do. He knew what the defense was going to do. And I sat here and listened to people, when the coach sit there and slam him. I'm getting tired of listening to him on the air. The guy's right 90% of the time. Oh, look, this is what's going to happen. The ball's going to go here. And he knows, and he's right.
He's a very good broadcaster. Now, there is a lot of revisionist history going on right now. Romo made that offense so much better than it is right now. But he made some of the most boneheaded, stupidest mistakes.
You gotta remember, he was trying to overcome all the other stuff that was working against them. He was trying to make something happen.
I agree with that. But some of the throws he made that cost us games when it mattered the most, that's all him. So for as much
much as we love him,
wanting to pull the knee pads out for Romo here, he had his fair share of mistakes too. But I would take him in a heartbeat right now over what we have going on at quarterback. And I just hope and pray that Jerry was not telling the truth when he said Dak is going to be extended. The guy is not worth whatever the max deal is for a quarterback these days.
No.
And he just isn't.
All right, so we've ranted long enough. We're going to wrap it up here.
Well, one quick question before we wrap up.
Okay.
Do you guys subscribe to the backup team theory? Like when your team is in the tank, do you, for just to have any semblance of enjoyment for the rest of the season, just kind of watch and follow another team as well? You're not switching allegiances. You're still a Cowboy fan.
I won't root for a specific team, but I root for entertaining football. So, like, once the Cowboys I know are not even a player in the postseason, I'll look at who are the funnest teams and kind of follow them, but I won't openly root. Like, I know that when we get to the playoffs, Kansas City is going to be a fun team to watch.
Well, and the Chiefs were originally a Dallas team, so it's okay to.
I know the
Saints are going to be a fun team to watch.
Dez.
And then I will specifically root against certain teams. Like, I don't want the Eagles to win.
Right.
I don't want the Patriots to win.
Right.
Whoever's playing them, Packers. I will root for. Yeah, I don't want the Packers. There's specific teams that I don't want to see win.
I'm Chiefs Saints all the way. I want a Chiefs Saints Super Bowl. I want them both to keep going as far as they can. Everybody else can F off.
It takes something out of the season for me when Dallas tanks like this. And it's hard for me to root for somebody else. I'll watch other games, but even then, I'm kind of going, wow, we could be this way.
If it wasn't for fantasy football, I would be in that boat.
Yeah, but fantasy football this year is going very well.
Fantasy football changes your outlook on, do I really want to pay attention to the NFL anymore at this point? It will force you to keep watching games, and it'll keep you engaged. Now, unfortunately for me,
you're having a very Cowboy season.
My team is as dead as the Cowboy season.
I am like having a Chiefs season.
Well, I tend to, once the Cowboys are out of it, I watch all the games. But then the moment the playoffs start, I don't watch it again. I just use it to watch other TV.
Super Bowl? You don't watch Super Bowl?
I tend, sometimes it depends on who the team is.
I'm too much of a fan of the sport to just completely disassociate myself with what's going on.
I think of all sports, football's the one sport that I can watch games without my team playing in it.
Yes.
I think any other sport, I almost really kind of need my team to be playing.
The NBA, I'm the same way. Like, I know, Bob, you're not that huge of an NBA guy.
I can watch Mavs games.
I mean, once the Spurs are out of it, since I'm a Spurs fan
already,
like they are right now, I can still find entertaining all of the other teams. I can still watch all the playoffs, postseason, NBA finals, and not completely lose interest, because I'm too big of a fan of those two sports to just completely disengage.
All right, so here's to close it up. We're going to go around the table. Here's my two questions. Will Garrett be fired at the end of the season?
Yes. I even said that before.
Any final thoughts?
I even said that before the season started. Yes. Before the season, if we check the tape, I said this would be Garrett's final season. Now, I gave them too much credit in what the record would be. I think I said they were going to be 8-8, and that, I don't know, 8-8 is a very long shot at this point.
I said 10-6.
Yeah, you guys.
I think I said 11-5.
Okay, so Scott,
Garrett, I think Garrett's going. I really do. I mean, because there's just too much against him, and even though Jerry, likes to hide behind his walls, there's too many people beating him down right now. I think at some point he's just going to go.
The fan backlash is too strong.
And Bob?
I do think he's going to be gone after the season, but they did bring up a good point on the ticket this morning that he would need to have a replacement not only in mind but ready to go. He would not fire him without already having the next person lined up. He's got that hire made, and it's like, okay, so if the Saints win the Super Bowl, for example, would he be able to get Sean Payton to come over here? And
why would he? Why would Payton come?
I
mean, we had our chance. Peyton was on our coaching staff.
He was ready to go.
And we decided to let him go. And look at all the great success he's had in New Orleans. There's so much non-buyer's remorse on Sean Payton right now.
So I am going to be the sole pessimist. No, Garrett will not be.
It would not shock me
Jerry
if they brought
will
him
find a way to justify it to himself to bring Garrett out. Maybe Linehan will be gone, but I don't. I'm just. It's been too long, and I think he wants Garrett to be the next Landry, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Now Garrett's got one more year of contract. He signed through next season.
Yeah.
So typically, you're either going to extend. You don't want a coach going into the last season without a contract because it's a lame duck situation. The players know. He may not be back. So you would almost have to sign him to extension if you weren't going to. So that's another thing that may result in him being gone this offseason.
So if he doesn't get extended, is that pretty much an outright flag that he is done?
You would think so, yeah.
I would think. At what point would the players go? Not again.
I think he has already lost that locker.
See, I thought the players may not have been on board with him, but I saw Tyrone Crawford the other day was raving about him, saying, "Oh, we love Garrett." He's all. I'm like,
oh, so much lip service. What they say in public and what they're saying in that locker room have to be two completely different things. Not only will he have lost the locker room, which I think he already has, the fan backlash, I think, is what is really going to make the decision easy for Jerry. I think that stadium is going to start being emptier and emptier,
See, that's
getting
the key.
fuller and fuller of the opposing team's fans.
And then you start getting the Cowboys fans booing Garrett when he comes on the field, which I think is going to start.
We had some boos at that game.
At the game, there was you could hear the boos, you could hear the chants of fire Garrett in the crowd. It's happening. It's already happening. So
okay, very nice.
Merry Christmas, Cowboy fans.
Yes, thank you for letting us go on a rant. My name is Jesse Jackson. You can find me on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW.
You can find me at mexicanjr@hotmail.com. You can email us at the podcast, the howmanypodcast@gmail.com as well.
Yeah.
Send me a Twitter message, Mexican_Jr.
I'm Scott, and I'm on the Twitter somewhere. Yes.
Yeah, I'm also on Twitter at FireGarrett. No, I'm actually on Twitter at Luke Montalvo.
All right, and so thank you, and
talk to you soon.